31 organizations want the government to recognize menstrual rights. The campaign, which is themed Team Free Sanitary Pads, will march in Pretoria and Cape Town tomorrow. Access to sanitary pads has been a problem for girls in some parts of South Africa for years. Often, many are unable to attend school when they are on their periods. Joining us to talk about the campaign is Nokuzola Ndwandwe, who is the organizer of this campaign. Nokuzola, very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Daytime Update. Let's begin first with the context that's now prompted you to start this campaign and the march tomorrow. To what extent are young girls in South Africa today seeing interference in their schooling as a result of a lack of sanitary towels?
A lack of sanitary towels is keeping girls away from school due to lack of access to the basic human rights. The high cost of living in South Africa is actually impacting on women and young girls getting access to menstrual products. And so which is why I felt that it's actually about time that the South African government actually steps up and actually accelerates, distribution of menstrual products in schools and also in public spaces and universities as well as in corporate spaces, because period poverty does not discriminate. It's more than just about, access to hygiene products. It's also a human rights concern, which needs intervention from global governments as well as local leaders. And
what you're suggesting, Nokuzola, if I'm hearing you clearly, is a system similar to the dispensary or the availability of condoms, for example, in public bathrooms. Am I right?
Yes, you are absolutely correct. But also, we also need to be very careful about, government focusing on just distribution of menstrual products. We need the South African government to recognize menstrual rights. We need the South African government to recognize menstrual health as more than just a hygiene issue, but actually a human rights issue, which means that the South African government needs to actually recognize a law which stipulates that, menstrual health is a human right, and women and young girls have a right, a legal right to access menstrual products, a right to menstrual leave at birth, and transformative policies that allow women and young girls to actually enjoy their period and to have access to career advancement opportunities and to have access to quality education.
We've been speaking in this country about period poverty for the better part of the last 10 to 15 years. Why do you think that the changes that you are calling for, which have been long-standing, in fact, have still not been made?
I feel that, government is taking, government is taking its time, but also I feel like government does not have a capacity. For a very long time, menstrual health has been stigmatized. And so it has become very recent that, individuals and societies are actually taking action. We're having more conversations around menstrual health and hygiene management. And so I feel that we are very availing ourselves as activists, as experts, as academics to actually say, well, I think it's high time that we actually work as a collective, as, members of society together with governments actually come up with a solution to actually eradicate period poverty once and for all. And the starting point will be a menstrual health and hygiene bill, which will be, at some point eventually recognized into law by the South African government.
Just yesterday, we're dealing with protests in various parts of the country to do with a rising cost of living. Many people saying it's simply unaffordable at this stage to buy food, to pay for fuel. And that is likely, am I right to suggest, going to get worse for young girls who are so poor that they can't afford pads or tampons at this point if things continue to move in the way that they are.
Absolutely, and it's not just young girls as well. Period poverty speaks into matters around income inequalities. Gender equality is still an issue in South Africa, where representation in key managerial positions is still very questionable. There's still a long way to go in terms of, bridging the pay gap and, bringing about transformation in the workplace. Because even when women are working, they actually cannot afford their health living needs, and some actually cannot even afford menstrual products, which is why we feel that we have to accelerate the recognition of menstrual rights into law so that everyone has access to menstrual products, and not just schoolgirls, but working women and all menstruators, so that, we could drive South Africa forward and we can have women and young girls having access to career advancement opportunities and access to quality education.
What options are there for those women and girls in South Africa today?
There are not really much options available so far. I mean, we just had a recent passing of the reusable sanitary pads standard in terms of, recognizing quality menstrual products in terms of reusable products. But, there's still not much options available so far. I feel like it's still very slow, regardless of the fact that we fought for a VAT scrap in 2018, and a VAT scrap only, provides for those who can afford. It's just a small percentage of the cost of menstrual products. Menstrual products are still very expensive. And also, even though we fought for, the South African government to set aside national government expenditure, the expenditure is still too small. It's in the millions, and we have millions of women and young girls who actually cannot access menstrual products, over a period of 12 months. And so the South African government actually needs to heed our calls and actually, bring on board various organizations, various members of parliament, various political organizations, and we actually come together and figure out a solution as to how we can actually work together and stand with one voice in terms of eradicating period poverty in South Africa.
Nokuzola Ndwandwe, good to have your time. Thank you.